Welcome back to Podcast on Demand. Today, we want to tell you a story straight out to New York. It is about President Donald Trump's son. Barron Trump has always been the quiet one, the youngest in a family constantly under the spotlight. But what unfolded in the lecture hall at NYU's Stern School of Business turned him into a headline of his own, sparking conversations far beyond the serene Oregon campus. It was a typical Wednesday morning in room 406, where students filed in for a highly anticipated cultural criticism lecture. At the podium stood none other than Professor Karen Elaine Johnson, a woman revered for her razor-sharp intellect, fiery debates, and a reputation for stirring controversy. Stromberg wasn't just a professor. She was a storm in stilettos. Among the eager students was an unassuming young man, tall and composed, blending seamlessly in a simple hoodie and jeans. Few in the room knew that this was Barron Trump, the son of former President Donald Trump, attending classes under a pseudonym. He had come to NYU to carve his own path, free from the burdens of his last name. But that morning, the name Barron Trump would soon be on everyone's lips. Johnson began her lecture with her trademark energy, dissecting the idea of public perception. As she launched into her critique of how society venerates figures for superficial traits, her tone turned sharp. Take Melania Trump, for instance, she said with a wry smirk, a woman celebrated for her elegance and poise. But what does that say about us? Are we praising beauty in silence as virtues worth upholding? Laughter rippled through the hall. Johnson continued, her critique turning into a relentless takedown of the First Lady. She mocked Melania's best initiative, questioned her contributions, and dismissed her as a relic of outdated ideals. In the third row, Barron Trump sat stone-faced, absorbing every word. Then, with a calm deliberation, he raised his hand. The murmurs stopped. The air grew still. Johnson froze mid-sentence, her sharp eyes locking onto him. "Yes?" she asked, her voice clipped. Barron stood, his voice steady but charged with purpose. "You talk about my mother as if she's just an image, a caricature shaped by societal expectations. But have you ever stopped to consider the humanity behind the headlines?" The room fell into complete silence. He continued, his words measured and powerful. Barron painted a picture of his mother's journey, from a small town in Slovenia to becoming First Lady of the United States. He spoke of her quiet strength, intelligence, and the relentless judgment she endured. "Maybe the problem isn't her," Barron said, locking eyes with Johnson. "Maybe it's how we as a society decide what's worth celebrating." For once, the sharp-tongued professor was speechless. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air. Finally, she found her voice softer now. "Those are compelling points," she admitted. But Barron wasn't done. "Criticism is fair," he said. "But what you're doing isn't scrutiny, it's mockery. It's easy to judge someone based on what you see from the outside, but it's harder to understand their full story." Applause erupted, reverberating through the hall. At that moment, Barron wasn't just a quiet kid in the third row. He was someone who carried the weight of extraordinary experiences and had the courage to speak truth to power. The next week, Professor Johnson addressed her class with a newfound humility. "Last week, I was challenged in a way that made me reconsider not just my arguments, but the way I teach. For that, I owe all of you, especially one of you, my gratitude." Barron Trump didn't just defend his mother that day. He shifted the entire narrative, reminding everyone that even in disagreement, empathy and fairness are paramount. A fellow student's recording of Barron's response went viral, captioned, "When the quietest person in the room changes everything." The video ignited debates online about public perception, respect, and the power of standing up for what's right. What happened at NYU's Stern School of Business wasn't just a moment in a lecture hall. It became a lesson for all of us to look beyond the surface and rethink how we judge others. For more stories that challenge us to think deeper and live better, subscribe to Podcasts on Demand and join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Let's explore the moments that inspire us to be better. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button